Hades Horror Files.
I never should have brought the Ouija board on a road trip. That's the part I keep coming back to. Not the cabin, not the storm, not even what happened to my friends afterward. Just that one decision, seeing it in that thrift store bin and thinking, yeah, this will be funny in a creepy way. It started the way a lot of bad ideas start, boredom and confidence. We were driving up north for a weekend trip. Me, my friend Daniel, his girlfriend Brooke, and my cousin Alex. Nothing special planned, just a rented cabin near the edge of a national forest, no neighbors for miles, spotty phone service, the usual, let's get away from everything, setup. On the way there, we stopped in a small town for gas and snacks. That's where I found it. A little antique shop tucked between a closed diner and a hardware store. The kind of place that smells like dust and old wood and things that don't want to be touched. The Ouija board was sitting in a bin near the back. No box, no instructions, just the board wrapped in thin cloth and tied with string. It didn't look like the normal ones. This one was handmade, wooden, dark-stained, with letters carved instead of printed. The planchette was heavier than it should have been when I picked it up, like it had weight beyond its size. The shop owner saw me holding it and just stared a little too long. "You don't want that one," he said. I laughed it off. "Why not?" He didn't answer, just turned away like the conversation was already over. That should have been enough. But I bought it anyway, because I wanted a story. We got to the cabin just before sunset. It was nicer than I expected. Wooden porch, tall trees surrounding it, a lake not too far away. The air already felt colder than it should have been for early fall. Daniel and Brooke started unloading the car while Alex and I brought in supplies. That's when I showed them the board. Daniel immediately groaned. "Dude, seriously?" Brooke looked annoyed. "We are not doing that here." Alex, of course, was already curious. "It's probably fake," he said, "or like a gimmick thing." That's how it always goes. Someone doubts it, someone's curious, someone's uncomfortable, and someone, usually me, pretends it's all harmless. We ended up outside on the porch after dark. The cabin lights were on, bugs hitting the screens, the forest completely black beyond the yard. We set the board on the wooden table between us. No candles, no dramatic setup, just flashlights and bad decisions. Daniel shook his head. "This is so dumb." "Then don't touch it," I said. He still did. We all placed our fingers on the planchette. At first, nothing happened. Just silence. Wind moving through the trees. Then Alex said, "If anyone's here, make a sign." I remember thinking how cliché it sounded. Then the planchette moved. Not a slide, a jerk. Like something underneath had grabbed it. It shifted to yes. Nobody laughed. Nobody spoke. Brooke pulled her hand back immediately. "Nope, I'm done." But the planchette stayed moving. Slowly now, dragging across the board like it was deciding where to go. S-T-I-L-L. Daniel frowned. Still what? The planchette stopped, then moved again. H-E-R-E. A chill ran through me that I couldn't explain. Alex swallowed. "Okay. Who's doing that?" Nobody answered. The cabin behind us creaked, a long, slow groan of wood settling. Except it didn't feel like settling. It felt like something shifting its weight. Daniel stood up. "All right, joke's over." But the planchette moved again. "Faster! Don't stop!" Brooke stepped back from the table. We're done, right?" Then the porch light flickered. Once, twice, and stayed off. The forest went darker than it should have been possible. No moonlight, no stars, just black. And in that black, we heard something move near the edge of the yard. Not footsteps. Dragging. Like something heavy being pulled through dirt. Alex pointed his flashlight toward the tree line. The beam caught nothing at first, then something pale between the trees. Tall, too thin, standing completely still. Daniel whispered, "Tell me that's a deer." It wasn't a deer. The planchette slid hard across the board. Home. The word hit differently in that moment. Like it wasn't describing a place, like it was describing us. Brooke grabbed my arm. "We need to go inside." We stood up at the same time, and that's when the thing in the trees moved closer. Not walking, just appearing nearer. Each time the flashlight shook, it was a little closer than before. We ran, all four of us, straight into the cabin. Daniel slammed the door shut behind us and locked it. Silence followed immediately. Too fast, too clean. We stood in the living room, breathing hard, listening for anything outside. Nothing. Brooke started crying quietly. "What was that?" Alex shook his head. "We should have never touched that thing." I looked down at the board still sitting on the porch table through the window. It was still there. But the planchette wasn't on it anymore. It was inside, on the floor between us. None of us had brought it in. Nobody moved. Then it slid slowly across the hard wood. No escape. The lights in the cabin all went out at once. Total darkness. Not even emergency glow. Just gone. And in the dark, we heard the front door unlock. Click. Daniel whispered, "That wasn't me." The door opened slowly, cold air rushed in, and something stepped inside. We couldn't see it, but we could hear it breathing, slow, wet, too close. Alex swung his flashlight wildly, but it wasn't working anymore. The batteries were dead. Of course they were. Brooke screamed when something brushed past her. I grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the hallway. We ran blindly through the cabin, crashing into furniture, trying to find any exit. Then Daniel shouted from behind us, "I found the board!" That made no sense. It was in the living room, but his voice sounded like he was in the kitchen, or upstairs, or somewhere that didn't match the layout anymore. Brooke stopped. "Daniel?" His voice answered from everywhere. "You should finish it!" The house creaked loudly, like it was bending. The hallway stretched longer than it had been before. Doors that weren't there earlier now lined the walls, each one slightly open, each one breathing. We reached the back door. It wouldn't open. Of course it wouldn't. Something pressed against it from the other side. Slowly, deliberately. We were trapped between the forest and whatever had come in. Then the planchette appeared on the kitchen table. Moving again. We didn't even need to touch it. It spelled one word. Goodbye. The pressure on the door stopped. The cabin lights flickered back on. Everything went still. No breathing. No creaking, nothing. Just the four of us standing in a normal cabin again. Brooke looked at me slowly. "Is it over?" I didn't answer, because I was staring at the porch window. The board was back outside, sitting exactly where we left it, like nothing had happened. Alex laughed nervously. "Okay, that's insane." Daniel was silent, too silent. He walked toward the window slowly, pressed his hand against the glass, and whispered, "I didn't leave the game." Then he turned around and smiled. Wrong. Too wide. And from outside the cabin, something knocked once on the glass. Not hard, just politely, like it was waiting to be invited in again. I don't remember how we made it through the night after that. I only remember the morning. Daniel was gone. No signs of struggle, no open doors. Just empty space where he had been standing. The board was gone, too. The police said he probably wandered off into the forest. They never found him. They never mentioned the board. But I still think about that word it spelled. Home. Because sometimes when I'm alone at night, I hear something tapping softly on my front door. Not knocking, just waiting. And every time I look through the peephole, I swear I see something pale standing just out of sight. Like it never left the game at all.